One thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Let's take a brief break. Could you have envisioned the day when WNBA teams would voluntarily leave their comfortable home courts to make room for a new star? Well, Caitlin Clark has made that day a reality. All Indiana Fever games, home or away, will now be held in arenas that can accommodate at least 15,000 fans because Clark is a one-woman sellout machine and, while the rest of the league plays in arenas that feel like high school gyms, Clark demands NBA floors. Let that sink in. 6 franchises are abandoning their regular locations to move into NBA-level arenas.
Caitlin Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, Caitlin Clark is that she's getting new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the Fever. Why are they pushing the Fever?
However, let's be clear that these are serious venue escalations, not just small upgrades. The Chicago Sky, who spent the previous season pretending that Angel Reese was the main attraction, are now doubling down with not 1 but 2 games at the United Center because Caitlin is coming. In addition to those Fever games, Ree won't be playing at the United Center, and even the Aces, home of Aisha Wilson, have reserved the T-Mobile Arena specifically to play the Indiana Fever.
There are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
It's funny that just last year, all of these same teams were dismissing Caitlin's arrival as if it weren't significant and that they didn't need her. They claimed that the league is already doing well, but that deeds speak louder than words, and they are not just laying the red carpet, they are repaving the entire street.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center, home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden, home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
Now, Connecticut deserves special recognition because these people don't even have an NBA venue close by, but Caitlin is packing up and moving to Boston. Yes, a completely different city, to play at the TD Garden. You know how influential your presence is when teams start outsourcing their home games to other zip codes. Just think of the chaos if Angel attempted to do the same thing. They'd be lucky to be moved to the high school next door.
Dallas Wings have moved 1 game to American Airlines Center, home of the Mavs and the Stars. Las Vegas Aces have moved 1 game to the T-Mobile Arena, home of the NHL's Golden Knights. And the Mystics have 2 games moved to CFG Bank Arena. All right? 6 teams have all moved their home games to ones with larger capacity.
And it isn't only them. Moving their Indiana games to larger arenas with more seats and even more dollar signs, the Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics are also following the Caitlin trend. This is not a coincidence. Rather, it is a comprehensive league-wide blueprint. Some commentators are referring to Caitlin Clark as the WNBA's walking stimulus package, but that's not even a joke. It's a fact. When she arrives in town, the game abruptly changes from a basketball match to a fundraiser for the other team.
Now at the stage where Caitlin Clark is probably going to be responsible, I'm not joking when I say this, for games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
In the meantime, Angel Ree is likely still upset that her huge, unmatched championship didn't even receive this level of attention, and Aisha Wilson is busy posting cryptic tweets while her team moves for Clark. Where are the haters now? The same people who were complaining about the hype are suddenly very quiet as their arenas sell out and their ratings soar because of the one player they didn't want to acknowledge.
Teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games, but have 17,000 fans when Caitlin Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
Yes, WNBA games had an average attendance of 6,000 before Clark's ascent, but Caitlin is filling 20,000-seat arenas with 3 times the usual number of fans. The fans aren't there for a team, they are here for her. Executives have even acknowledged that they would rather give up home court advantage than miss out on the Caitlin cash grab, which isn't just a hot ticket, that's a Jersey gold mine. Let's sum this up, then. Vegas didn't just move 1 game. They moved multiple matchups to T-Mobile Arena just to accommodate the Clark effect. The same aces who act like she's not a threat are booking bigger stages every time she rolls into town. The WNBA attendance increased by 48% last year, and you know who carried that bump on her back? Teams are now planning their entire seasons around Caitlin.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever. You can't acknowledge that she is the needle mover. Yeah.
However, the TV coverage is even more bizarre if you thought the arena changes were crazy. With 41 national broadcasts scheduled for this season, Caitlin Clark has more national airtime than all WNBA teams combined in the past 10 years. ESPN, ABC, CBS, and NBA TV are all vying for Caitlin's share of the national airtime.
A lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness. So
players like Aisha and Angel must be hurt because they probably thought the spotlight was theirs to take, but instead they are watching Clark steal the show, break the ratings, and book the slots. The Indiana Fever set viewership records throughout the league last season and are now the crown jewel of broadcast scheduling. It's as if they went from being background noise a few years ago when they could hardly win games to becoming the headliner overnight. Not only did Clark increase attendance, but she completely changed the WNBA broadcasting model. Her games routinely broke attendance records, reaching the million-viewer mark as if it were easy work. Now, the networks are vying for Caitlin content like it's Best Buy's Black Friday.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
ABC demanded the games against Chicago because, let's face it, the Clark Reed drama is television gold. CBS snatched up the Liberty games, while ESPN snatched the Aces game because, let's face it, nothing shouts must-see TV like Caitlin Clark taking down the league's so-called super team.
Most television games in franchise history, the most national television games in for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Under the surface, it's getting harder and harder to find games without Clark in prime time. Veteran stars who have worked tirelessly for years to establish their reputations are now watching from the sidelines as Clark repeatedly takes center stage, and let's be honest, they are not happy about it. Can you blame them? Imagine working hard for years in the league to watch another player get 41 nationally televised games while your own team hardly makes an impression on the sports media. We're also attracting more and more fans to this league, including people who may have never watched the WNBA before, and it kind of blows you away at times, like when the league's original marketing strategy didn't work. Fans weren't buying it. They tuned in for Clark and ignored everyone else. The data was indisputable, and the league was forced to make a sudden adjustment. It wasn't about finding balance, it was about providing the audience with what they wanted more of, Caitlin. Last season, they attempted to promote a variety of players, effectively giving everyone a participation ribbon in the hopes that spreading the spotlight would balance attention and keep egos in check.
This also just came out. This is the national broadcast schedule right here against the Sky. It's an ABC broadcast network television game. New York Liberty. It's a CBS game.
And speaking of rivals, recall how Angel Rhee attempted to take the lead in the league title during her time at LSU? Well, those hopes have now been dashed, and the entire Clark versus Rhee plot that the media attempted to promote has completely collapsed. Just take a look at the national TV schedule, which shows that Reese is the main character and not sharing the spotlight. What we're witnessing is the total breakdown of the co-star narrative that Reese's fans spread last season. The networks and fans made it abundantly evident that there is only one main character in this story.
CBS against the Sky, ABC against the Liberty. So you're seeing the teams that move the needles that they're going to play. That should draw some ratings anyway. I'm not going to say these other teams move the needles because they really don't.
For Angel Reese, this most recent change in the WNBA spotlight must hurt even more than the blows she throws under the backboard. Throughout her college career, she positioned herself as the next big thing and the face of women's basketball. From viral moments to endorsement deals, she leaned heavily into the idea that she was the game changer, and her fan base, they backed her at every turn, pushed the narrative that Caitlin Clark's success was merely a media-manufactured phenomenon. Now, however, The silence from those same voices is deafening as arenas are being reorganized, venues renovated, and marketing funds redirected toward Clark.
The WNBA needs to do everything they can to promote Caitlin Clark. And I'm not saying do it at the expense of anyone else, but they went into last season basically trying to promote anyone but Caitlin Clark for I don't know what reason.
Imagine Rhee's reaction when her own team, the Chicago Sky, abandons their usual home court in favor of United Center only when the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark arrive in town. No, they aren't pursuing Angel because it's all about Clark, who needs to hit his ego hard. The Sky might as well be the undercard for Caitlin Clark's main event, playing backup in their own city whenever she appears. You understand the point. Big networks broadcast all of the Sky games, all of the Indiana Fever vs. Sky games. The Aces game, as I mentioned earlier, is on ESPN. The Liberty games are on big networks. The games against the Liberty are on big networks. And there is a lot of ION on this page.
Basically tried to do it to promote anyone but Caitlin Clark. And that made no sense. Because for the long-term growth of the league, you can't just promote one player. But promote Paige, promote Caitlin, promote rivalries.
Even more awkwardly, the Chicago Sky's social media is still doing everything in its power to promote Angel Reese as the franchise's star. They are posting pictures, highlight reels, and branded content as though she's the main attraction, but when national broadcasters roll out their promos, it's all Clark. The once hyped rivalry between Clark and Rhee has faded into the background, and the networks aren't even attempting to make it a plot point anymore because they know who makes the difference, and it's not the self-described Bayou Barbie.
That is literally what they should be doing. You should be promoting every single player in this league, but not. And again, don't promote Caitlin Clark at the expense of the league, but also promote Caitlin Clark. Promote everyone more. Promote Caitlin Clark constantly. Promote all these players constantly. Promote rivalries constantly. Promote these big games constantly.
For discussion, the networks are making it their top priority. Caitlin Clark is wearing it now, and the metrics and numbers are unmistakable. Rhee is still profitable. Her name continues to garner endorsements, and she continues to develop her brand, but she is no longer in a position to redefine the WNBA's financial future.
America's team, yeah, guys, I mean, let's just be honest. This is exactly what they do in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, this is exactly what they're going to do, and they do every year with the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because they draw ratings.
For Rhee and Aisha Wilson, this is about legacy leverage and long-term marketability in professional sports, not just bruised egos. The biggest bag goes to the athlete who attracts the most spectators. Top-tier endorsements have greater sway in league discussions and the kind of historical respect that makes a name stick in the annals of time. In addition to being a talented player, Caitlin Clark is changing the definition of what it means to be a women's basketball superstar.
Because of Angel Reese. That's good. That's really good. Seriously, no, not at all. The Caitlin Clark effect is real.
And let's face it, one team receiving 41 nationally televised games is not only unusual, but unprecedented. No team in WNBA history has ever gotten that much attention. The reason for this isn't fairness, rather, it's demand, and Clark is the one driving that demand. The comparisons to Tiger Woods are actually quite accurate. Similar to how Woods introduced golf to a whole new audience, Clark is doing the same for the WNBA, as fans who had never seen a women's basketball game before are now making notes for their favorite games. Clark is a phenomenon, not just a player. And let's face it, one team receiving 41 nationally televised games is not only unusual, but unprecedented. No team in WNBA history has ever gotten that much attention. The reason for this isn't fairness, rather, it's demand, and Clark is the one driving that demand. The comparisons to Tiger Woods are actually quite accurate. Similar to how Woods introduced golf to a whole new audience, Clark is doing the same for the WNBA, as fans who had never seen a women's basketball game before are now making notes for their favorite games. Clark is a phenomenon, not just a player.
Get the point. All the Sky games are on big networks. All the Indiana Fever versus Sky games are on big networks. The Aces game, like I said, is on ESPN. The Liberty games are on big networks, the games against the Liberty. So, and there's a lot of ION.
They might want to take a look at the Fever's schedule as Aisha dons her new signature sneakers and Angel Reese shares her most recent photo shoot because that team, the one that everyone laughed at last year, is coming for everything. Clark isn't just trying to succeed, she's setting the new standard, and she's doing it with grace, humility, and a three-point shooting ability that keeps coaches up at night. The WNBA is evolving, and Caitlin Clark is at the forefront of it without waiting for approval. The other players in the league can either join or move aside. Do you agree? Please let us know in the comments, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.
How many of these games, guys, one of these games is going to hit 3 million viewers this year. All right. I don't know which one. I assume you can look at the sky and look at the aces, those two games, and think those are the games that could, in theory, break 3 million, maybe more than that. The All-Star game, of course, did a massive rating. What is it going to end up doing this year? So it's all going to be very interesting.
For discussion, the networks are making it their top priority. Caitlin Clark is wearing it now, and the metrics and numbers are unmistakable. Rhea is still profitable. Her name continues to garner endorsements, and she continues to develop her brand, but she is no longer in a position to redefine the WNBA's financial future.
He is the needle. And it's just madness. It's madness that there are still people going out of their way talking about, complaining about this. Like, it's an objectively good thing.
You understand the point. Big networks broadcast all of the Sky games, all of the Indiana Fever vs. Sky games. The Aces game, as I mentioned earlier, is on ESPN. The Liberty games are on big networks. The games against the Liberty are on big networks. And there is a lot of ION on this page.
The fact that every single team that is not playing in an NBA arena has for Caitlin Clark, it genuinely just shows that the Caitlin Clark boom is not ending.
For Angel Reese, this most recent change in the WNBA's spotlight must hurt even more than the blows she throws under the backboard. Throughout her college career, she positioned herself as the next big thing and the face of women's basketball. From viral moments to endorsement deals, she leaned heavily into the idea that she was the game changer, and her fan base, they backed her at every turn, pushed the narrative that Caitlin Clark's success was merely a media-manufactured phenomenon. Now, however, the silence from those same voices is deafening as arenas are being reorganized, venues renovated, and marketing funds redirected toward Clark.